Greetings everyone. Welcome to Narayana's. This is Chaitanya. This is a part of the daily news analysis in which we select certain articles from the Hindu as well as Indian Express. The first article is the legislative decline. It is from the Hindu, page number 10. Next one, grassroots democracy as a bulwark against Maoists. It is from the Hindu, page number 10. Third one, direct taxes swell exceeds 75% of budgetary estimate. It is from the Hindu, page number 70. Fourth, India's first winter of Arctic research. Why does it matter? It's from the Indian Express, page number 19. Fifth one, customized mRNA is the next frontier in personalized medicine. It is from the Hindu, page Science 2. Now let us look over first article. This article is on declination of the role of legislature. Parliament is nothing but the legislature. At the same time, it has the duty or the role to see that the executive is accountable to the public. Parliament provides a platform for the legislator to raise the voices or to raise the concerns of the public and also participate in the essential task of formulating legislations as well as constitution amendment as well. So thus, effective functioning of the parliament is important to uphold the democratic credentials of this country. Now let us look into this article where we will find why the legislative role is considered to be declining rather than it being a facilitator for promoting democracy. The executive of this country seem to have reducing the role of the parliament to effectively function. It has not only been the case this year. Since many years we are witnessing that the parliament's actual role is declining on account of various factors. The title of the topic is the legislative decline. The relevance of the topic, legislative accountability on executive. UPSC syllabus, you're going to learn about the separation of powers between various organs. Look at the previous year questions. Which of the following are the methods of parliamentary control over public finance in India? There is one question that has been asked in the year 2012. The main question, to what extent, in your view, the parliament is able to ensure accountability of the executive in India? The context is simple. We have seen the recent dissension within the parliament by two individuals who used the canister to spread their voice, to spread their concern. That led to disruption of the proceedings of the parliament. It is a major security breach because, after all, parliament is a temple of democracy. It provides a platform for raising the voice of the people ultimately, because representatives are ultimately elected by the people. And through the people, the voices of the parliamentarians are heard. But if there is security breach within the parliament, it will create fear among the legislators to participate or in the proceedings of the parliament effectively. Many opposition members have raised the demand to the government to answer to the security breaches. Instead of addressing their concerns, the government has taken the step of suspending the opposition members. Without the opposition members, there is no effective functioning of the parliament because it becomes one-sided. After all, we need different views for the democracy to thrive. If you curb or curtail the freedom of expression of the opposition, that leads to curbing the voices of varied interests within the society. That is why you have to see that the parliament is functioning effectively. If you look at the background, the suspension between 2014 till this session was 94. That is, 94 members were suspended. Whereas after 13th December 2023, after this major incident, the number of suspension was 92. That is why it is considered both draconian and excess in comparison to the actions that have been taken in the past by the executive. So what are the functions of the legislature in deepening the democracy? Firstly, it represents the will of the people. Next, it enables lawmaking and policy formulation because the parliamentarians give their voices, give their amendments, give their concerns, etc. on various legislative matters that are taken up in the parliament. And it sees that the checks and balances are maintained because power cannot be concentrated in one particular institution. It is distributed among various organs. One of the important organs is parliament, that is the legislature, and it sees that the executive is accountable. The executive doesn't fulfill its responsibility. The parliamentarians through the parliament raise the voice, raise the concern that so and so aspects of the governance has not been dealt effectively. And thus, It will generate awareness among the public that there is a need for effective functioning, promoting awareness on the way the executive is functioning. And thus, this enables to prevent the concentration of power within the executive, nothing but the central government in this place. And it will, in detail, scrutinize the governmental actions, the budget, etc. Next, it involves in deliberations and discussions on various matters of international as well as national concern. Example, if there is any riot, then parliamentarians take up the topic in the parliament and conduct debate and thus come out with the measures through which we could actually reduce the possibility of that occurrence in future. Next, the rights and freedoms of the citizenry. There are requirement of legislations. There are requirement of raising the concerns so that the rights and freedoms that are extended or bestowed upon the citizen by this country are upheld. So Parliament gives scope for seeing that there are measures through which the citizenry could exercise their freedoms and the political stability. So the legislators' election is important to see that there is democratic transition of powers from one establishment to the other establishment. At the same time, providing avenues to see that the country is united politically. For example, restoring the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir. It is done by the parliament. Ultimately, the power is vested with the parliament. Now, the recent challenges. Firstly, the suppression of opposition. If there is suppression of the opposition, if you provide lesser time for the opposition or you suspend the opposition party members, this ultimately reduces the effectiveness of the parliament because it will lead to one-sided view being represented heavily in the parliament. Next, the fast tracking of bills we are seeing often. Even the constitutional amendment bill are passed swiftly without they being scrutinized in detail by the parliament through various instruments like parliamentary standing committee as well. So what is happening is the quality of legislation is deteriorating. The quality of the legislation is deteriorating. This will lead to increasing confusion in terms of the different legislative provisions. At the same time, increasing litigations, etc. Confusion in the sense if the different legislations have different provisions which are conflicting in nature, then obviously it will lead to confusion. Thus, learning from the expertise of various members within the parliament is important. Especially bringing in the expertise of parliamentary standing committee is also important. What we are seeing is the parliamentary standing committees are not functioning effectively. One of the reasons is many bills or many legislations are not given to the parliamentary standing committee for its detailed scrutiny. As you know, parliamentary committees have an important function to scrutinize the provisions of the legislations in detail. What we are witnessing is government is not placing enough bills with the parliamentary standing committee, as well as the deliberations are nothing but the amount of time being allocated for discussions of the legislation is also declining. Next, the budgetary control, nothing but the budget that is passed every year. It also requires detailed scrutiny, that is, how the finances of the public are used for the administration of this country. In this case, too, the parts of the budget that are referred to parliamentary committee for scrutiny are declining. There is increasing reliance on guillotine motion. In guillotine motion, as you know, the provisions are not discussed once the guillotine motion is used for passage of the provisions within the budget, thus they are not subjected to discussion or scrutiny. Added to it, decreasing the number of reports which are submitted to the committees for evaluation. Next is questions on institutional credibility. That is various institutions that exist within the parliament. Like for example, ethics committee. The recent expulsion of Mahua Moitra, who is one of the representative or MP, has raised questions on the institution's credibility, whether it is acting on a biased manner or whether it is trying to see that it is impartial. It has to take in the voices of various sections within the parliament, the ruling as well as opposition, and then take the action objectively. Rather, many criticize it as a subjective move or biased move. Next, the parliamentary deadlock and disruptions. Again and again, what we are seeing is the disruptions that are occurring in the parliament rather than a consensual approach, a cooperative approach, where both ruling and oppositions are given enough space to raise their voice, to raise their concerns. The implication, the global perception and criticism. how the reputation of Indian democracy is seen at the global level or international. Next, the checks and balances are eroded because the opposition, as you know, is being suppressed, or the avenues for representing the opposition voice are getting thinner as the days goes by. Next, reduced oversight and accountability, as you know, the parliamentary standing committee, etc., are not being used effectively. Democratic principles are weakened as is claimed that one side is given more voice, more space for expressing their voice when compared to others. But as a way forward, we have to strengthen the legislative process. For example, giving more bills to the Parliamentary Standing Committee for detailed scrutiny, or increasing the time to be deliberated upon each article or each legislation or the constitutional amendment for that matter. Then the committee's engagement should be increased, fair representation should be given, that is, the time allocated to the opposition members should also be increased, and institutions' credibility so that it is unbiased, and parliamentary conduct is to be improved. For that purpose, we have to have proper code of conduct and ethics in place. Then the public engagement and transparency, that is, public deliberation should also be taken care of so that it has wider approval among the public. Then we have to improve the capability and capacities of the MPs so that their conduct in the parliament is as per the expected standards of the parliamentarians. So this completes the article. Now let us look into the next one. This topic is about strengthening the grassroots democracy. As you know, the confidence among the tribals at the grassroots levels is lower, that is leading to lower voter turnout. Lower voter turnout in the Maoist infested regions. So this begs the question, how to increase the confidence among the tribals so that they could actively participate in the democratic politics of this country. And thus for that we have to trace the root cause of the problem and generate confidence among the grassroots level people, that is the tribals in this case, and thus increase their participation and thus gain confidence among the voters, that is the tribals. The title of the topic is Grassroots Democracy as Bulwark Against Maoists. As you know, Maoists are hindering the ability of voters to use their power of vote. We have to find the cause behind it and how to increase their confidence. The relevance of the topic is extremist activities and grassroots democracy. The syllabus, GS paper 3, and the linkages between development and spread of extremism. As you know, extremism is one of the reasons for lack of developmental aspects among the tribals, nothing but the tribal regions, especially in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, etc. We have questions asked in the previous year examinations, like Naxalism is a social, economic, and developmental issue. How Naxalism could be solved only through comprehensive or holistic approach, tackling social issues, economic issues, and developmental issues, rather than simply focusing on law and order issue. Nothing but security. Eliminating the Naxalism is not enough. We have to tackle all those issues, then only we could solve the problem of Naxalism. Similarly, in 2018, we have a question on left-wing extremism, which is showing a downward trend but still affects many parts of the country. It's an indication of the continuance of left-wing extremism. And the lower voter turnout in the Chhattisgarh is also an indication that the problem is still persistent. The context is, in the Maoist stronghold, what we have witnessed in is low voter turnout. It is as low as 3 to 4%. It's an indication that Maoism is preventing the voters to vote. At the same time, it is also an indication of the deficiency of the governmental services or the ability of the government to gain confidence among the tribals. So the problem is from the side of the government. At the same time, the Maoist threat or the Maoist influence as well. Maoism. Maoism is a form of communism. Communism is an ideology which believes that establishment is not looking out for the welfare of the citizens. Instead, it is only focusing on certain rich sections, and thus, as a consequence of it, it is depriving the rights of the masses. What Maoist does is influence the masses and show that there is a need for replacing the establishment. And thus they use the methodologies like ideologies, nothing but ideas to show that the present establishment is to be thrown away. And we have to place a new system which takes care of the interests of the people. At the same time, they use the armed insurgency, mass mobilization, and strategic alliances even with the criminals or terrorists for that matter, to attain their goal of throwing away the establishment, or nothing but subverting the establishment and establish a Maoist rule to take care of the interests of the people. And that is the reason why they do not advocate the tribal people to vote, because they do not believe in establishment. And this, one of the ways they do is they threaten the people that they shouldn't vote. That is also the reason for lower turnout. But they are doing injustice to the tribals. Why? Because they are taking away the right of the tribals to vote. Voting is important. Why? Because voting gives the power to the tribals to vote for the candidate who actually has the ability to raise the issues faced by the tribals, and nothing but the concerns of the tribals. Each section of the population in the country has their own problems. It has to be tackled as per the requirements of the population, and thus tribals should also be provided avenues for them to elect candidates who have the ability to resolve their issues. One of the challenges that we are facing from the Maoists is the parallel governments that the Maoists are creating for governing these regions, or governing the tribal inhabited regions. This parallel government is called Jantana Sarkar. But the problem is this doesn't have the ability to be sustainable because it doesn't have the resources, it doesn't have the capability to actually meet the challenges faced by the tribals. Added to it, it is illegal. Why? Because as per the constitution or as per the law accepted by the people of this country, only the central government or the state government or the local government has got the power to establish these organizations or bureaucracies or institutions to carry out the rule of law in the country. One of the important election issues is the Patalgadi movement, which is also seen in Jharkhand. Patalgadi movement is a movement where the people, the tribal people, are raising the issue of recognition of rights. They are trying to create awareness among the people that so and so rights have been granted to them as per the constitutional provisions and as per the acts like Forest Rights Act, PESA Act, etc. This is an indication of the failure of the government that it is not executing the rights of the citizenry or not providing space for the citizenry to exercise their rights. So, lack of implementation of the constitutional provisions or the legislations is one of the reasons why the people are frustrated and do not have the confidence on the government. That is leading to lower voter turnout or reliance on the Maoist institutions or the movement like Patalgadi movement. For that purpose, we have to address the issues. And one of the important reasons for lower voter turnout is disillusionment and disengagement. This is one of the reasons for declining participation. Disillusion and disengagement is nothing but having a vision. Not having a vision among the tribals is nothing but they do not have confidence on the government. That is why they are not showing willingness to exercise the right of vote, the right of electing a candidate to represent their interests. And the other issue is the PESA Act implementation, despite having certain provisions in the PESA that have given the power to the people of these villages or tribal villages like Gram Sabha, which has given enough power to safeguard the activities like controlling the interest rates or conserving the water bodies or seeing that the land rights of tribals are intact, yet not implementing in full spirit is leading to disillusionment among the tribals. Executing PESA Act in word and spirit actually enhances the confidence, and that is what we should strive for. Then how to solve the issues? Firstly, empowering the tribal leadership, and nothing but providing them the space to exercise their power. So we have to provide them the voice to raise their concerns. For example, the political turnout is to be increased. Next, promoting inclusive governance so that even the tribals feel that they too are part of the decision making, which they are not at the moment. The lower voter turnout is an indication of it. Thus, their democratic institutions are actually realizing the interests. Next, addressing socio-economic disparities. As you know, in India, the tribals are backward in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of employment. Thus, this backwardness is leading to lower capacity among the tribals, either to show their grievances or either to realize their potential, thus leading to declination of confidence among them. Thus, improving the development is important. Next, the cultural sensitivity. Culture is deeply integrated with the life of the tribals. Cultural sensitivity towards the tribals is important to gain their confidence. Either it might be minor forest produce or the sacred groves. There is a need to provide them space to exercise their cultural rights. There are various provisions in the PESA Act as well as Forest Rights Act which provides those spaces. We need to see that they are implemented in word and spirit. Next, the community engagement and awareness. That is, awareness among the tribals regarding their rights is lower. We have to create that awareness to actually create the possibility of providing them space for participation in India's developmental processes. Then the conflict resolution and dialogue, the issues faced in terms of implementing these acts, etc., are to be resolved. Then the infrastructure to actually resolve issues, either in terms of promoting development, either in terms of providing them the quality of life comparable to the average Indian is important. That they could feel that they too are equal in terms of representing their voices or in terms of the priorities of the state. Next, the legal support, especially given the high detention rate in these regions, either due to lack of awareness among the tribals or lack of their ability to tackle the legal challenges. So, providing or extending legal support is also important. All these actually have the ability to gain confidence and thus increase the democratic participation. So, we need to adopt a holistic approach. Then only we could see that there is democratic decentralization and democratic participation. This in turn could actually tackle the problem of Maoism, thus solve the challenges with regards to the Maoism as well as the developmental deficit that these regions are facing. This completes the article. Now let us look into another one. This article is on increase in direct tax collection when compared to our estimates. And that is why there is a concept called fiscal marksmanship, our ability to actually estimate and then the deviation in terms of what is happening in reality. This is an important issue facing the economy. Why? Because we need to get our numbers right. The budget numbers like direct tax collection estimates or the nominal growth estimates is the basis through which we are able to govern our economics. Economics, as you know, is quantitative. We'll be able to know the values of various economic parameters through which we actually govern the economy. If we're not getting the numbers right, our ability to govern the economy is going to get a hit. So that is why this topic is important. That is fiscal marksmanship. The title of the topic is Direct Tax Swell Exceeds 75% of Budgetary Estimate. So we have estimated so and so as our direct tax collection target, but actually we got more tax collection than we estimated. The relevance of the topic is direct taxes and fiscal marksmanship. The syllabus relevance as per the UPSC Mains GS3 resource mobilization. The context, as you know, is nothing but increase in direct tax collection, which is more than 75% of our budget estimates. If you look at the trends of direct tax collection, there are three important sources for collecting direct taxes. The first one is corporate income tax, personal income tax, and the third one, security transaction tax. And in terms of numbers, the highest contributor is corporate income tax, then comes the personal income tax, then comes the security transaction tax. Learning these numbers is important, and which is the major contributor is important, especially for prelims. The center has actually kept a target of rupees 18.2 trillion rupees from direct taxes, and is expected to collect 10.5% more when compared to the previous years. But what we have seen is it is way greater than what we have estimated. The estimates of direct tax collection is done on the estimates of the nominal GDP growth rate. So we calculate the possibility of nominal GDP growth rate and so, and on that basis, we estimate that so and so is our direct tax collection. This too is important. And from here, what we are going to learn is about the fiscal marksmanship, nothing but the deviation in terms of estimates and compared to reality. This deviation is important, as we already stated in the introductory slide. And this gives the credibility of the government numbers. Without proper numbers, we cannot forecast errors. We cannot forecast the exact possible nominal GDP growth rate or whatever the economic parameters might be. Or our ability to tackle the inflation is also going to get a hit, because ultimately it is about spending the money and the extent of money that is being spent in the economy that has an impact on the inflation. Similarly, it will impact our ability to predict the numbers like the demand of fuel or the ability to control the prices of the goods and services. So, having accurate numbers or near accurate predictions or estimates is important. So, India has a long way to go in terms of our ability to create a valid data collection centers or valid theories to create or to collect data that is accurate enough to see that our economy is governed as per our expectations. This completes the article. Now let us look into another article. This article is on India's first winter expedition in the Arctic region, and Raman Research Institute team is going to hold study. The topic is of relevance in UPSC because we are going to learn about Arctic expedition, and for prelims we learn about the general issues on environment, ecology, biodiversity and climate change. So the importance to the ecology, biodiversity, etc. is significant when we study about the Arctic and Antarctic regions. As you know, their interconnections with the global environment, thus how the environment at various regions has its link to the Arctic Circle as well as Antarctic Circle. That is why various countries carry out their expeditions in these regions. Look at the previous year questions. Why is India taking keen interest in the Arctic region? The context: Himadri, India's Arctic research station in Ny-Ålesund region of Svalbard. So remember, it is in Ny-Ålesund region of Svalbard. It is a part of Norway. The thing is that it will be remaining operational throughout the year. Previously, it was operational only for 180 days. Now let's look into India's Arctic missions. The first expedition with regards to the Arctic circles has been carried out in 2007. Then the aim is obviously to learn about the biological, oceanographic, atmospheric and glaciological linkages and the sciences behind it. Thus we could understand about the global environment, global climate, etc. It has an impact in turn on the Indian climate as well. Next, Himadri Research Station is established in 2008 in Svalbard, Norway. Multiple expeditions have been carried out since 2007. India has actually sent 13 scientific expeditions so far. And the institutional support is given by Ministry of Earth Sciences, nothing but the funding, logistics, etc., so that we could execute these projects. Ministry of Earth Sciences has provided funding and logistical support. The National Center for Polar and Ocean Research plays a key role in research planning, implementation, and data analysis. As you know, many times we see the institutes are being asked, as well as who is the one which gives the funding and logistic support. These are important for prelims examination point of view. It is governed by Svalbard Treaty of 1920, and India is a signatory, and as well as UNCLOS, that is Union that is United Nations Convention Law of Seas. So these treaties are also important because many times even the treaties are asked, especially the significance of UNCLOS is important for preliminary examination. This completes the article. Now let us look into the next one. This article is on the potential of using mRNA. mRNA is present within our body. Similarly, we can synthesize mRNA in the labs and use it for various purposes. What is the ultimate function of mRNA? The ultimate function is to synthesize protein, or nothing but produce a protein. Protein is nothing but a building block of our body. For example, it promotes the growth of our body. Similarly, proteins have various functions with respect to our body and regulating various activities so that life could function in a healthy manner. Similarly, we can cure diseases. We can also treat the cancer through these proteins. And we can also build our immune systems, leading to creation of vaccines, mRNA vaccine for that matter, that has helped us to avert the COVID crisis. So the applications or potential of this technology is huge. Thus, this article is relevant. The title of the topic is Customized mRNA is the next frontier in personalized medicine. Personalized medicine is nothing but medicine trimmed for particular person. Each body has its own different reactions, different functionality as well, and compared to the similarities between different bodies or among the bodies. When the issue is specific to a particular person, we can use particular mRNA to tackle that particular issue. So in this way, we can make the personalized medicines work as well. The relevance of the topic, we are going to learn about mRNA, we are going to learn about biotechnology, cell structure and function. The relevance in terms of UPSC syllabus, GS paper 3, science and technology. We have questions asked in previous year examination as well. For example, RNA interference technology has gained popularity in the last few years. So the topic is quite important. Now the context is potential of mRNA technology, especially in the context of cancer treatment. Now let us look into what RNA is. RNA is a ribonucleic acid. Nothing but it is a nucleic acid. And this is present in all living cells. Now, RNA has certain similarities with DNA. The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. So, even DNA is made up of nucleic acid. Now, let's look into similarities between DNA and RNA. Both are made of chain of smaller units called nucleotides. So, this chain of nucleotides is nothing but our DNA and RNA. But there are differences in terms of composition and structure. And each nucleotide has sugar, phosphate group, and nitrogenous base. And one important thing about this nucleotide is these are made of molecules like adenine, uracil, guanine, and cytosine. And if these adenine, uracil, guanine, and cytosine are present in RNA, DNA has one more molecule, which is thymine. But DNA doesn't have uracil. That is one difference that we are going to see as we go along. And the thing with this is adenine forms a pair with uracil and guanine forms a pair with cytosine. These are the specific pairs that we are referring to. And each DNA and RNA has these base pairs. The one difference between DNA and RNA is, that is one of the differences, we do not have uracil, instead we have thymine, and adenine in the case of DNA forms a base pair with thymine. The other difference is RNA has single-stranded structure, whereas DNA has double-stranded structure. If you look into the diagram, you will be able to know it. Next is RNA has sugar ribose, whereas DNA has deoxyribose. That is, RNA lacks one oxygen atom. So these are the differences between DNA and RNA. Now there are various types of RNA. One is the messenger RNA. As the name itself suggests, it carries message. And this message is regarding the genetic instructions that it takes from DNA. DNA, as you know, has genetic information. This genetic information or instruction directs the body in various ways. The protein is the one which enables the functioning of the body, and thus what DNA has is nothing but the information regarding the different types of proteins that are to be synthesized. And protein, in a sense, enables the functioning of the body in various ways. So mRNA carries the instructions from the DNA and ultimately enables the protein synthesis in the body. This is about the mRNA. Next, we have ribosomal RNA. Ribosomal RNA forms the structure of ribosomes. Nothing but the organelle of the ribosome is formed through ribosomal RNA. It is in the ribosome that the protein is synthesized. Protein synthesis ultimately takes place in the ribosome, and this ribosome is present in cytoplasm of the cell. In the cytoplasm, we have ribosomes. And ribosome structure is formed by ribosomal RNA. Then we have transfer RNA. Transfer RNA brings in the amino acids that are required for production of protein, nothing but protein synthesis. Protein synthesis requires amino acids, and these amino acids are delivered by transfer RNA. We have one more RNA, which is small nuclear RNA. This enables processing of the other RNA molecules. So in body, there are other RNA molecules. The processing of the other RNA molecules is done by the small nuclear RNA. So what is this mRNA? As we have already seen, it is a messenger and it gets its instruction from the DNA. And what this messenger RNA does is it helps in synthesizing of protein. As this carries the information regarding the protein, the ribosome utilizes the information provided by mRNA or the instruction that mRNA brings from the DNA molecule, and ribosome produces the protein. So this is how protein synthesis is done. Similarly, if we bring in any mRNA through the lab and introduce in our body, the ribosome present in the cytoplasm enables the body, or nothing but the cell in this case, to produce the protein through the help of the amino acids, which is brought in by the tRNA. So this is the functioning of the cell. If you look into the picture, in the nucleus we have DNA material, and the DNA, through the process called transcription, forms RNA. RNA has the information from the strand of DNA, which has the instructions regarding the particular protein, and this mRNA is translated within the cytoplasm, and through the help of ribosome present in the cytoplasm, we produce proteins. So this is the process of formation of protein. If you look at the functioning of mRNA in protein synthesis through this diagram, you will be able to know how through the process of transcription, mRNA is produced in the nucleus, which is transferred to the cytoplasm, and this through the help of mRNA and tRNA, which brings in amino acids, produces the protein. So this completes the topic. Now let us look into the topic. Coming to the first question, consider the following statements. Himadri Research Station is located in Antarctica and serves as India's primary base for research. This is false, because Himadri Research Station is located at Arctic. Now, the Ministry of Earth Science provides logistical and financial support for Indian Arctic expedition. This is true. The third, India has conducted only one scientific expeditions to the Arctic since 2007. This is false, as the article itself provides that it has conducted more than one expedition. How many of the above given statements are correct? Only one, so the answer is A. Next one, consider the following statements regarding the PESA Act. The PESA Act was enacted in 1996 to enable self-rule in tribal areas that are recognized through 4th schedule of Indian Constitution. This is false. Second point, the Act requires that Gram Sabha be consulted before any development projects or activities are undertaken in the scheduled areas. This is true, as we already seen in the explanation. So, which of the above given statement is or are correct? The answer is B, 2 only. Third question, consider the following statements about the differences between RNA and DNA. RNA is double-stranded while DNA is single-stranded. This is false, as DNA is double-stranded. RNA contains the sugar ribose, whereas DNA contains deoxyribose. This is true. In RNA, the base uracil is used instead of thymine, which is found in DNA. This is true. So the answer is A, 2 and 3 only. Next question. Which of the following mechanisms are employed by the legislature to exercise control over the executive in India? The question hour in Parliament? True. Passing of the budget? Yes. Appointment of members of judiciary? We are talking about legislative control or exercise of the executive power, not the judiciary control. Of course, Parliament has a role in appointment of members. Is that true? No. So even the appointment of the judiciary is not done by the Parliament. So the third statement is false. Fourth, no confidence motions, true. So select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer is 1, 2, and 4 only, that is C. Fifth question, consider the following statements. For the last 5 years, the highest contribution towards direct taxes is from component of personal income tax. This is false, as the corporate tax is the largest contributor. Next, the fiscal marksmanship can be a measure of the accuracy of the government's budgetary estimates. This is true, as we already seen in the article. Which of the above statements are correct? The answer is B, 2 only. Next, mains practice question. Government responses on recent security breaches in Parliament have been deeply problematic and excessively authoritative in nature. In the light of this statement, examine the challenges faced by the legislature in the past decade. In the introduction, write down the statement. Why this act is considered excessive? We have seen the statistic where the number of suspensions have increased dramatically. Next, try to add few statements like why legislature is important to deepen the democracy, given it is the platform through which we could raise the voices of the people or the interests of the people. In the body, write down the recent challenges, as we already see in the article itself, the recent challenges like suppression of the opposition, where the members from the opposition are being suspended or not enough time is allocated to raise their concerns, raise their voices, or hear the voices. Next, fast tracking of the bills, where we have seen that the bills are not referred in the numbers that we have seen in the past to the Parliamentary Standing Committee for detailed scrutiny, etc. Erosion of the legislature control on the budget, where we have seen that usage of guillotine motion, etc. Question on institutions' credibility, where Ethics Committee has recently expelled one of the MPs in the Parliament. The competence of the Public Account Committee. The competence is lower when compared to the past years. It is not provided with autonomy, as many of the members in the Public Account Committee are towing the line of the party. Thus, party affiliations are being carried out even in the deliberations of the Parliamentary Account Committee as well. Similarly, the Executive Committee, etc., where there is a necessity for providing more autonomy to the members. Next, the parliamentary deadlock and disruptions, as you have seen, the non-consensual approach among the members of the parliament. Right? There is a need to add proper examples to justify the recent problems, as we have already seen. In the conclusion, write down the implications and the way forward. The implications of the recent issues and the way forward, that is a requirement to see that there is a cooperation between the opposition and the ruling. This completes the article. Please do like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thank you.